Welcome everyone, this is Shane Doyle with Central Data. Thank you for taking time out of your calendar to attend today's webinar. This is Creatio for Distribution, and I'm gonna pass it over to Scott Wolf from Creatio Systems.
Awesome, thanks Shane, I appreciate that. Thank you everybody for joining. To Shane's point, I know everybody's busy. Thank you for giving us 30, 40 minutes this morning, this afternoon, depending on where you're at. My name is Scott Wolf. I'm the Director of Sales and Operations at Creatio Systems. We are a Creatio CRM implementation partner. I have been longtime friends and co-workers with the folks at Central Data, working with them on the CRM side for, almost 10 years now, it seems like. And so appreciative that you folks are letting us give you a presentation. What I want to do today is we'll start by setting the tone. I want to talk a little bit about why Creatio CRM for distributors. So I have just a few slides before we move into actual software. But I want to talk a little bit about how Creatio is different than some of the other CRM solutions that are out there. What makes Creatio different, and then specifically around our integration touchpoints between Creatio and CSD or SXE if you're on-prem. So I'll call out a lot of the touch points between the two applications, but the main portion of the demo is going to be around showing you how Creatio can give a 360-degree view into your customers from sales, service, and marketing all in one system. I'm going to try and tell a story today a little bit about lead to cash. So a lead comes into your website, you qualify that lead, it becomes a prospect account. You may work opportunities or quotes against that account. They end up buying that. That quote gets pushed into CSD as an order, and the order is then brought back into Creatio for the sales reps to see. That's kind of that lead to cash story that I'm going to show. So you get a full visibility without having to jump back and forth between the systems. And lastly, we'll talk about forecasting and reporting. Getting your dashboards and visuals in CRM, in Creatio, that will pull in some CSD data. So you can get not just lead data or follow-up from trade shows, but you'll be able to get order history and trending on past due invoices and things for your sales team in CRM. So we'll give you guys actionable decisions and actionable insights. So that is the agenda, the expectations for the next 45 minutes or so. For those that aren't familiar, I thought it might be important just to, in a single slide, talk about Creatio as a company. Creatio's been around for about 18 years. They've got 14 offices across the globe, headquartered in beautiful Boston. And those that follow the Gartner Magic Quadrants or the Forrester Waves in different industries and in different sections, Creatio is constantly in the leader quadrant, the top right. So for those that are interested, I'd be glad to send you some of those reports, but they're always in the top right there with the Salesforce and Microsofts of the world as an industry leader. So been around a long time. And really the why Creatio for distribution, what makes us different than the other players in the space, the first of which is a BPM engine, and that's a business process management engine. Think of a lot of the if-then scenarios you folks might want to do, meaning like when a lead is brought into the system, if no one calls on it in 3 days, 7 days, then reroute that lead. When a quote is generated over a certain dollar value, I want an alert to go out to the manager for approval. Or when a quote has a discount over a certain threshold, we want to alert approvals. An opportunity is stale and hasn't been touched in 90 days. I want something to happen. All of those if-thens are built on Creatio's BPM engine, which are significantly easier to configure and tweak, in the low-code platform as well. So I will quickly today do a little show and tell on editing a screen, but you guys all have your own uniqueness in the distribution space. And so we will work with you, and Creatio has the ability to be flexible to fit your uniqueness and fields you might want or processes you might want written. Now it's a no-code, low-code platform, and all of it on a unified CRM. So that means, there's CRMs out there that are really good at marketing. There's some that have service focus, some have sales focus. Creatio really tries to pride itself on giving you guys that full 360-degree view into your customer, whether it's a sales need, a marketing need, or a service need. So that is the last slide I have about why Creatio for distribution. I'd like to move into actual software. I know this is a recorded meeting. At one point, we're going to pause for a poll. I think that Shane's going to bring up a little bit later. I do encourage anyone, if you do have questions, I think put them in chat. Shane can monitor those, and I can follow up, after the meeting when we're done. So if there's no questions on, Creatio as a product, Creatio as a company, and why for distribution, I do want to move actually into some software, and we'll talk a little bit. Starting with some basic navigation. And so when you log into Creatio versus other systems, there is a left-hand navigation and a right-hand navigation, where some others, have navigation across top. So before I get into that storytelling role play, I wanted to just make sure that people understood how to get around the system. And so first of which is this left-hand pane where we have the different, what are called sections. So for today, I created a central data user, but included in your licensing, if you were to license sales, marketing, or service, you get different functionality depending on your license type, right? So if I'm a sales user, I want to look at my dashboards, my leads, accounts, contacts, activities, ops, and orders, right? From CSD, I'm going to be showing where orders and invoices come in for the sales team to get visuals. We do products or projects, project management, right? We close an opportunity and we want to track that project. We have the ability to do that with the sales license. Marketing, in the marketing license, we're going to be sending email blasts out to our customers, depending on certain promotions we might be running. We can do drip campaigns, if-thens, depending on your industry, what the customer might want. We can do full campaigns, event management, all within the marketing license. And then there is, of course, service. So sometimes our customers call and complain, and we need to help them. There is a full rich service license where we do cases. Some other CRMs might call these tickets. Creatio calls them cases. We can track SLAs and configured items, configured products. So there is this full service license, and then they're mixed and matched, right? Your organization may have 3 marketing licenses, 10 sales licenses, and 5 service licenses, depending on your use case. But what we can do is we can create a new workplace here, like I created this central data user, and it just thins out the noise on the left-hand side, right? And I can aggregate sections. So for today, we're going to be talking about accounts, contacts, leads, quotes and orders from CSD, and some basic forecasting, right? So that's kind of how we get around the different sections. On the right-hand side is how we start interacting a little bit with the system. The first of which is telephony. We do integrate with most voice over IP phone systems. We can do click to dial. So if I have my headset on and I wanted to call Lynn Collins, it looks like she's got a international number here, 0.44. I'm not going to call her. She looks like she's in Europe or something. But I can click the green phone or her phone number, and that will do a auto dial out. We can do screen pops in, for inbound phone. But more importantly here, probably more regularly, almost all of our customers want to do email integration, right? Outlook or Gmail Suite, whichever you folks are using. We have the ability to bring in your email. And the benefit here is it brings your inbox into Creatio. Now, I know we're all running dual or triple monitors. I often will have Outlook open in one, but if you want, there is power of using the email plugin here, in that I can see I got an email from Brian yesterday, and he said, the user I'm logged in is called John Best. So you'll see John Best's name. He said, "Hey, John, good seeing you yesterday. Per our discussion, can you please send me a quote as soon as possible?" What I can do is I can use this little plus sign. I'll kind of draw your attention up here. I'll zoom in a bit, and I can start taking action, right? So I could create Brian as a new contact if he didn't already exist. I could create a new quote. I could schedule an activity. I could create a case, right? I could look at invoices. I could link this to certain things. So this gives me the ability to start interacting with this email a little more intelligently. He says, hey, send me a quote. So I can come in here and I could generate a new quote and schedule an activity for me to follow up on that quote while living in this side panel. So in a demo environment, I've got your incoming and outgoing emails would live in this queue here. So you have the ability to read your inbox here. And we'll talk about email integration in different places when we get to sections. The last one I want to call out here is the notification center, which is the bell. This is kind of CRM 101, but this allows us to get notifications. Don't forget to follow up on that quote next week, Wednesday. Call the client because they have past due invoices, or I want to do a status call, right? Like using the activities in CRM pops up in this bell, people's birthdays, approvals that might come through. Gotta love a good demo environment. We have 99 past due activities. I hope none of your sales reps ever have that many past due activities. But that little notification bell will yell at you when you have new notifications. So when I wake up in the morning with a cup of coffee, the first place Creatio takes you to is a dashboard. And I'm going to show reporting kind of in a few different places. This is one spot where we can get some of those visuals that you would care about in a macro view or a micro view. So as an end user, as a salesperson, I could have a Scott's dashboard, Shane's dashboard, Julie's dashboard, where I could look at my activities, my quotes, my ops, my key accounts, whatever's important to me in a micro view, or I can look big picture and I can say, give me a health snapshot of all the leads, right? So we built this lead management, so I can see total number of leads, leads by stage, leads by source, and I can drill through into these, right? So I can say, oh wow, we have 17 leads from Facebook. If I click on the green pie, I can display the data, and here are the list of those 17 leads. I could hover over the lead and it's going to pop up a little mini page that I can see, or of course drill through into it, or export. If I want to display this and then bring this data out, I could export this to Excel to manipulate that data if I wanted. But maybe I want to look at order data, right? This is one of the first places I'm showing is bringing in that CSD or SXE information into CRM. Right? So I have the ability to come in, I can see, total sum of order products, the average discount maybe we're giving, orders by status, orders by owner. So as John Best, I can see, my orders, and Mary and Simon don't have as many. So we can say, hey, what's up with Simon? Why doesn't he have that many? Looks like he's got some smaller orders in there. So we can start analyzing, these sections, by these different dashboards. So this is the first place that we get some of those visuals. The nice thing is I can start aggregating data from different sections. So I could do a lead dashboard, but again, I could have Scott's dashboard where I'm bringing in contact data, activity data, op data in one view. And we'll show that in a little bit. The one thing that Creatio does well is it allows us to start segmenting and aggregating data in section dashboards. So there's the global dashboard, but each section, leads, ops, quotes, orders, have list view like this. So I can see, actually, let me set up a summary and I'll show. So we have 102 total leads in the system, right? Kind of floodgates turned wide open. I can use these filters and I can say, give me a list of all the leads that are mine. I don't care about Shane's leads. I don't care about Julie's leads. I want my leads. And then I can even go deeper and say, give me a list of my leads where the state or city is Detroit and the lead type is X. I can use these filters to start segmenting this data. But in the top, I'll draw your attention, there's the list view, but there's also a dashboard view. And it has the same idea of these filters and folders and pie charts, and all of the visuals in the section dashboards will change. So as an executive, if I want to run, my marketing call, all right, it's our lead marketing meeting and we want to look at leads that are coming in, I can say, leads where the create date is this month, where the owner is John Best, and you'll see all the pie charts, funnel charts, lists change. So if I'm at, opportunities, or actually I think I built a quote one, have the ability, I can use this and say, okay, here's my quotes total number of quotes in the system, quotes by sum, quotes by account manager, quotes by goal, and then I can use these same ones and say, okay, give me a list of everything where the quote owner is John Best, right? And then all of this information is going to change, and I can see that I've got 200,000 in open quotes by month, and we can start using these filters to segment some of the reporting and dashboarding on the sections. So pretty powerful when you want to start asking questions. I want to run my Monday morning, Friday afternoon sales call, and I'm going to look at all opportunities that are set to close in a period of time, right? So what do we have opportunity-wise this month, right? So now we've got 13 ops for 500,000, where the owner is me. Looks like I've got 2 opportunities for 250,000, and oh, they're both won. I love a demo environment. I'm doing well. So I've got 2 closed won ops this month. So we can use these filters, which would segment then the dashboards appropriately. So lots of different ways we can get some reports and visuals within the CRM. But I want to move to that lead to cash. And I want to start kind of at the genesis. Creatio has a very flexible import engine. I can bring data in tons of different ways. And the leads are one spot is it good to show, where we go to a trade show in Toledo, and I want to import those 100 folks, that came to my booth. I can either import or export. So I could just do a data import, bring in those folks, and I would, automatically bring in those new leads. We can integrate to your website pretty easily. You guys have a contact me, request more information. That is really common, and that lead would then automatically be created if someone fills out that landing page form on your website. And we can do routing for the lead, meaning if it's in Michigan, it gets routed to Joe, and if it's in Indiana, it gets routed to Sue. We can do some of those if-thens using that BPM engine. So lots of different ways for accounts, contacts, leads, ops. The import engine is pretty powerful. So let's go in and let's take a look at this lead. So I'm going to open up the lead, and we're going to slow down for just a second. I want to explain kind of the main page and some of the sections, because this is pretty similar to the account screen, the contact screen, and the quote screen. There's always a left-hand pane, which gives us the key information. It wants to draw our attention up here to the top left, where it's going to give us at the lead level, what's the customer interested in, where did it come from? Looks like this lead came to us from a service landing page. When was it created? Who's the owner of the lead? We can do some predictive lead scoring. So depending on certain conditions and criteria, we can do lead scoring, 1, 2, 3 stars to help the salesperson, know which lead I should follow up on first. And then you're going to see the action panel across the top, which is these green bar. It's called a case. It's actually called a lead case. And this is the steps and stages that we would work with you folks to determine converting this lead to an account, contact, and opportunity. So a lead comes in, it's in kind of a new qualification status, is out of the box. Maybe I want to move it into nurturing, and then I want to create the op. So this is one of the really great places that Creatio has a lot of automation out of the box. Is it in one click, either by clicking this qualify button or by moving it to hand off to sales? Creatio will create a contact, create an account automatically, and automatically create an opportunity in one click. So as you folks get these leads, right, and you want to call them, I could click this green phone button, and I could say, I spoke with Ronald, blah, 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 notes, right? I could put in some generic notes about my call with Ronald, whether it was an incoming or outgoing call, hit save, right? So we can track some basic phone calls. Here's one of the first places I'll show other than over here is email integration. So I can actually email out, and if Ronald actually had an email here, his email would populate, and I could send him an email with attachments and templates, and I could email him right out of here, right? And it would go through my Outlook or my Gmail. It would be in my sent, but the benefit is it will be tracked against the timeline of that record, which I'll show in just a minute. If I want to put in a basic note about this client, I can say, spoke with Ronald. He's a Lions fan, boo. I can hit publish, and I can track basic notes about him. Or CRM 101 is the activity flag. This is the follow-up on the lead, set myself an activity for next week, Wednesday, follow up on that quote. Every section is going to have this blue flag, and it's going to ask me to schedule that call. Let me do a quick refresh. It didn't like that. Give me just a sec. And I can schedule that activity either for myself, or maybe I want to schedule it for someone else. You know, if I want to schedule a task or an activity for someone in service, I have the ability to do that. So I just want to let this load and I'll show that page. All right, so click the flag and it pops this up. So this is the generic task follow-up on quote. And then I just select when I want it to happen. I want it to be next week, Wednesday, the end of the month. And then I can select, it defaults to me, but I can say my colleague, Peter Moore, is the best person to handle that. Automatically defaults to the Ronald Gittins lead, and I can hit save. And then Peter will have an activity that will scream at him in his notification center. It'll pop up as an activity section. And if you have it synced, it will pop up in his Gmail or Outlook to call, this case, Ronald Gittins to follow up on the quote. But all of those things really live in the timeline view, which I'll show in the account in a few moments. But you can see here are my communications that I spoke with Ronald. He's a Lions fan, and I spoke with him. So here's all of the communications that I've had with this lead. So this lead says, yep, I'm interested in your product or services, right? We want to convert this lead. All we do, again, click qualify or hand off to sales, and that will create an account, contact, and opportunity in one click. So I'm going to use the global search up in the top, and I'm going to move to a specific account. So this global search, think of it as like a Google-esque, intelligent search. I just typed in the name Alpha, and right now the system is going back and pulling in everything that it knows is associated with Alpha. So it brings back all the accounts, cases, contacts, documents, invoices, and orders, leads, ops, projects, quotes. But I want to go to the account, Alpha Business, right? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to click into Alpha. So we're going to follow that story of Alpha Business was a lead. We spoke with them. They raised their hand. They said they're interested in talking to us, and now they're an account. So a few things. We now went from the lead section up to the account section. You can see we have the ability to put in logos, right? So the account type, not every account in the system is a customer. Hopefully we have a lot of customers, but we'll have competitors, vendors, suppliers, all kinds. So we can track the account type and then account category, right? Are they an A, B, C, D? These are lookups, very easy to configure. So we can say this is an A account, a B account, a C account, whatever. But website, phone number, and then primary contact information. You'll see we've got the action panel across the top. So if I want to schedule a call with Alpha Business, I could. If I want to put a note against this record, I could. But we have the ability here to see the tabs. So I want to draw your guys' attention kind of to the middle of the page. We have fundamental account information. So do they have a DBA? Are they also known as? What's their size? We can do the multiple bill to ship tos, right? So I'll show some mapping here in just a second. Banking, noteworthy events like their founding day or birthdays of people. So we have different details that we can track against an account. But if we want to create a new shipping, right, we would just create a new ship to, new bill to. Of course, we would bring these in with the integration to CSD. But if I want to map, right, let's say I'm going to go visit Alpha Business. We have the ability here to do map primary account address. I could click this button and it brings me into their address. I can try to find accounts that are close by. I can see which accounts are near this address, but of course I want to see these all on a map. And Alpha Business, just by happenstance, seems to be in Manhattan. So I can see there's Alpha Business, and I can start clicking on these other ones and see there's the IT box, there's IT Plus, here's Workflow Industries, so I can see which accounts are nearby. Right? So I have the ability to do mapping either on the desktop, or I'm going to show mobile in just a few minutes. But we have, with a lot of our other CSD customers, created a CSD info tab. So this is where we're populating all of that information against this account that is data coming in from CSD. So we have a gauge here. I zoomed in because it rendered a little gray here. I made it small. So we can bring in like year-to-date sales as a kind of a metric. So we have goals of 250K, 500K, 750K, and it looks like so far year-to-date we're at 64. I want to look at the total value of unpaid invoices, or what's the open quote value. We can start getting that information in a kind of a snapshot. but all of the orders, invoices, and quotes that we're pulling live here, right? And these are all of the orders from Alpha Business by base currency, the date of the order, what's the status of it. Here are my invoices and their status. And we can even start filtering these. So I can say, give me a list of all of the invoices against Alpha Business where the status is paid, right? I want to see my paid, and there they are, right? And so it filtered out all the stuff I didn't care about in that detail. So again, the goal here is to get your sales team before they maybe go visit Alpha Business. I want to get all that information, right? Where do we stand year to date? Or if I come into the history tab, it exposes some of that financial data, but also the cases, right? So what are we doing on the service side? Do we have any open issues before I call Alpha Business and try to sell them more product and services? I want to make sure I'm not walking into a buzzsaw. So let's make sure we don't have any open issues. What contracts do we have with this account? What leads? And here's those invoices and orders and opportunities. Right? So we can see all that information against this account. I showed the timeline at the Ronald Gittins lead. If you would have a key account, right, like one of your big accounts you guys work with, all of your communication, all of your emails, all of your invoices, orders, meeting notes, all live in this scrolling chronological view. So the idea here is, inside sales and outside sales and marketing and service, they're all talking to Alpha Business, right? I can use this to get that view, and I don't have to, walk over to the cube and ask my colleague. I can see, that John Best put in a note yesterday, blah, blah, basic note. And I can even start searching, and I can say, I know a week ago we sold them a product and I sent them an email about XYZ. I can see, oh yeah, there's that email that we sent regarding XYZ, right? Or I can use the filters and say, in this chronological view, give me all the communications we've had with Alpha Business this month. And now here's the communication we've had with Alpha Business this month. And what's my communication with Alpha Business? So we can use the same filter folder idea to segment out our communication. So, management can kind of zoom in, look at a key account, what's my team been doing on that account, and then they can zoom off. Right? So as we're working with an account, we of course can create opportunities. I know a lot of the distributors we work with by default don't deal in opportunities as much as they deal with quotes. But there is the idea, if I'm working on a large project with Alpha Business, I can come in and I can create an opportunity to sell them maybe even multiple services. So we have the idea of the BANT, when is this opportunity going to close? Who's the decision maker? What's the amount? We can do opportunity types, but you can see across the top, like the lead had a case. This is the opportunity stages, which are wildly configurable. It's a new qualification opportunity. Maybe we're doing a presentation, we're putting a proposal together, then we're doing contract negotiations, and then it's either close won, close lost, right? I can customize these, configure these, and then put in automation, meaning when it moves from presentation to proposal, I want to automatically schedule an activity for my boss to review, my proposal. So we can build a lot of automation. We can track competitors. We will in the CSD integration bring in your guys' product SKUs. So as I'm generating either opportunities or quotes, I can bring in your customer specific pricing and warehouse availability for specific products. So the salesperson wants to do quotes, I can go in and actually read your CSD product tables. So we were looking at Alpha Business as the account. Then we could go in and maybe start working opportunities against them. But I want to move now down to a quote, right? So, I gotta move this back. Let's back to qualification. Yeah, that's fine. It's yelling at me that the stage percentage is too high. So let's move that back to 30. And let's go back to that quote. And so I want to show the ability to do some merged quotes. So you guys want to generate a quote, we can do these very quick and easy. You can hit the plus sign and we can generate a new quote or order from here, or I could go to the quote section and hit new quote. But this one looks like it was created off of an opportunity, doesn't have to be. We can give it a quote title, which account. It's going to read the folks at that account, and it's going to ask me who is the quote for, right? So it knows the 3 people at Alpha Business. Who's the owner of the quote? When was it created? And then due, right? So I can track the quote was generated on the 9th, but it's due. And here's the total of the products that we've brought in. And then you'll see we have different steps and stages at the quote level. So I can come in and say this is in draft, I've submitted it, and then we would have automation in when it moves to approved status, the quote is approved by the customer, automatically automatically mark the associated opportunity closed won, and then push an order into CSD in pending status. That is really common. But I want to show the ability to generate a quote. So if we're working this quote and we have the ability to bring in products, we can do approvals, and we say, great, we've got all the products we need. This quote looks good. I want to send it to the customer. Creatio calls them printables, but with the ability to then bring in like a Word mail merge, and then it's going to open up on my other screen. I have the ability to generate a quote, right? So we took liberties here with Central Data's logo and their address, but it merges in the account, their address, the quote number, quote date, due date, all the products with the total. Of course, we would add T's and C's and signature pages or whatever you guys want, but we have the ability to then generate the quote. And then if we run it as a process, it would actually save that as an attachment against the quote, right? So I can go back and reference, so we can kind of do quote versions. I could send this quote out to this customer. I don't know many folks on the call here if anyone's selling Microsoft tablets and Microsoft Office, but the customer could come back and say, actually we wanted more of these. We wanted 10, now we want 20. So I can say, okay, let's give you 20 of them now. And I want to do different discounting or whatever. Then I can do run process again, and I would then have a different quote. So we have the ability to do quote versioning. So nice thing again, we are preventing, or not preventing, but we're stopping salespeople having to jump back and forth between the 2 systems. If I'm a seller, I'm in here qualifying leads, working with my accounts, I want to generate ops and quotes. So I have the ability to do that from here. Of course, we could drill through into orders and invoices, right? So if I want to go and look at the health of the business, because of that integration, I have order dashboards the same, right? So now we're at the order section. So I can see orders by channel, orders by month, orders by amount, and I can use those filters, same with orders and invoices, and then drill through into one. So if I want to come in and I'm going to randomly click on this one from Apex Solutions, this would come in and we're reading the status that you guys have on the CSD side, what the products are. I can see shipping details, delivery status, has it been delivered yet? When's the delivery date? We get a full summary of, if they have any different kind of payment plans. This all comes through from that integration. So we can go and see, it's partially paid, which part of the invoice or order is paid. We can get all of that here. Again, the purpose is a kind of a one-way street where we're pulling from CSD into Creatio. And so we have the ability to make intelligent decisions as a salesperson. I can say, give me a list of all of the orders where the account is Alpha, right? And so I can kind of get a summary of theirs. And I want to see the ones that are in progress. So then I could go and add another filter where status is in progress. And it's going to give me my one order from Alpha that's in progress for 18K. So I can kind of track that, whether it's commissions or whatever, I have the ability to track that. I've shown forecasting a few different places. I showed dashboards, the generic, the basic welcome dashboards, and then the section dashboards where I can do queries. There is included in the sales licensing the ability to do full forecasts, by rep, by month. So if we wanted to do a forecast by sales manager, I'm going to come in and add a few people. So we'll do William, Megan, John, Peter, Caleb. And I have the ability to do, expected versus actual versus percentage by rep. So I think I'm doing, my sales forecasting for the month, for the year. I can come in here by rep and say in Q1, as William Walker, I'm expected to do, $100,000 in the first quarter. In the second quarter, I'm going to do 125,000. And then you'll see it kind of sums on the X and Y axis. So I can look at all of the Q1 values, and then across horizontally, it sums them by quarter. The benefit is it does free form, and then I think out of the box it pulls from opportunity, close won opportunities. Yep. So then the benefit is then anytime Caleb Jones or William Walker close ones an opportunity in Q1, the value of that opportunity is going to automatically populate here, and then we can do the calculation of it, which is a formula of it, actual over expected, so I can see where I'm at to goal. So if I closed $90,000 in Q1, it would say I'm 90% to goal. So what we've done with other CSD customers is actually brought in orders, or I think we did invoices, excuse me. So we have, I'm expected to sell this, I'm forecasting from opportunities, but then the actual is invoices, so I can see what's actually coming in, and then we do the actual percentage, right? So you can add more columns into these. So that I can do forecast by sales manager if I want to do forecasting by product. So I want to bring in my product table by category, subcategory. I can forecast by product. I can forecast by customer. We can do these tables of, to give you guys visuals on forecasting. So the last thing I wanted to show was mobility. So I'm going to actually bring up my real phone. So give me a moment here. I will shrink this and bring up my emulator. You guys are still with me, hold on. Beautiful, okay. So this again is my real phone, they're my cute kids. So Creatio has an app, right, that we would download regardless if you're iPhone or Android. And when you come into the system, it's gonna take you to dashboards. And it looks like my emulator might be running just a little slow. Yep, there we go. So in the top left is the hamburger button, and it's going to give us that same navigation that the full desktop client has. So we're going to have contacts, accounts, activities, cases, dashboards. So we can, if I'm sitting in the airport, waiting for my flight, I can click into dashboards, and I have the same visibility of all those dashboards that I did if I was sitting at a desk, right? So I'm on the order management dashboard. If I want to go look at some of those leads, I could click on the lead dashboard, and it's going to bring up that lead totals and all my information around the leads. Or if I click the little hamburger button, go to accounts, click the accounts button, I can use filters and folders here, or I can just search, and it does have a recently viewed, so it keeps a breadcrumbs of where you've been, but simply just to show, I am going to go to the Alpha Business account, but you just type in, start typing at the top, and it's going to find who you want, and I'm going to click into Alpha Business. And there's about a 6-second delay between my real phone and the emulator here. All right, so this is the account screen on mobile. So the idea is I'm sitting in the customer's parking lot, before I go visit them. I have the ability to get all that information before I go shake their hands. Or I left the meeting and I want to put my notes. So we have the ability to classify them. Of course, we've done our best to take advantage of what phones already do well. So if I wanted to call Alpha Business, I could just click the green and it would call them. And you'll see it actually tracks an outgoing call from John Best to Alpha Business. And I could put my notes in here, right? So it would track that I had that call. One of the things it does well is the mapping. I showed mapping if I'm sitting at a desk, but let's say I'm kind of drive to go visit Alpha Business. I just click the map, and then it's going to go and invoke my phone's mapping, whether again I'm on an Android or an iPhone. I sit in Phoenix. It's a little far for me to drive to New York City, but this is going to go in and pull in some turn-by-turn directions for me to get to Manhattan. So it takes advantage of the phone's natural turn-by-turn directions. But down below are the different tabs. So I can see the opportunities, the contacts, if I want to create new activities. So here, if I click on the contacts, here are the 3 people that we know work there. I could drill into the Alex Wilson contact record. I can email him from here, turn by turn to his directions if he's in a different location. Or I can go back to the Alpha Business account. And then down at the very bottom, next to the little logo is the 3-dot menu. This is how I start creating new. So if I want to put in a note, I want to copy, delete, I can add content in here. So I want to add a new ship to address, put a phone call in, I can do that, all from the bottom. Or I want to view those opportunities, because again, I'm a sales guy. I want to go in and view and talk to them about the certain projects we might be working with them. By default, it filters on the 4 ops that we have with Alpha Business, right? So I could drill through into these scheduled activities. So the point is, the mobile is included in the licensing. There's no additional cost, but it's intended to be thinner, lighter, a little more intuitive, because I'm sitting on a 6-inch iPhone screen, not a 30-inch computer monitor. So as I'm out and about and I'm traveling, I'm sitting on the couch in the evening and my boss says, hey, what's going on with Alpha Business? I could quickly log in from my phone and send him a status update right from my phone. So Shane, that's kind of the cradle to grave. I think we went through the CSD integration, the lead to cash. We talked about forecasting. The only thing I had, I intended to leave about 15 minutes at the end, was some pricing. I thought it's important. Creatio's pricing is very transparent. So let me bring that back up and we will talk quickly about the pricing. Let me get back through these. So we wanted to make an offer to the folks for the presentation today. Oh, we have a poll. I saw the poll come up. Sorry. Yeah, thank you, Shane. If there are folks on the call are willing to answer that poll, that of course will help us with some follow-up. So I think the poll question is, what CRM system are you folks using today? Infor CRM, Salesforce, Microsoft CRM, or other? That would be helpful for us to understand. But the Creatio pricing is very transparent on the link in the bottom. As I follow up with all of you, I'll make sure you understand it. It is priced, per user per month, paid annually, whether you're getting sales or service or marketing. But we wanted to offer anyone who's interested a free month trial, where we will spin up a trial and we will even do some free data migration for you, so you can see what it looks like. We'll add a handful of your users, so you guys can go in and maybe target 3, 4, 5 employees that you think would be good power users, and we will bring in some of your CSD data so you can do a trial with your accounts and contacts and opportunities. And that's something we would like to offer all of you if you're interested, is a free month trial with your data as kind of a proof of concept. And then there's a link there if you guys are curious on some of the bundle pricing. So Shane, with that, that is the end of what I had to be discussed. I'm very appreciative of everybody coming together here on a Thursday afternoon. Hopefully I will get the chance to chat with you guys afterwards independently.
Yeah, Scott, thank you. That was great. I didn't see any questions come in through the chat. If anyone did have a question right now and wanted to type that in, we'll give it a minute. If not, we'll shut this down and save the recording. And if there is any follow-up, we can get you in touch with Scott on next steps. All right, no questions came through, so we're going to shut this down. Thank you again, Scott, and everyone else have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.